attack in this country that we'll be able to link to that southern border. But they are all anti-Semitic. None of them believe in Israel's right to exist.
That is so destructive, and it's the exact rhetoric that these conflicts are being fought over right now. Ron DeSantis made some absolutely disgraceful and dangerous comments in a recent speech about the Palestinian people of Gaza, where his remarks are downright Islamophobic, probably in hopes to appeal to the Trumpist Republicans in light of Trump's, we can't allow any Mexicans in this country. He's found his own group of people to target because he can't be original at all. The problem he's going to face is where he went for calling them anti-Semitic, because it's not going to elicit the response he wants, as most of the people on the right are anti-Semitic themselves, for being honest. But let's watch this first clip so you can see the disgusting things that he had to say firsthand yourself.
Israel is telling people, leave this area because we're going to conduct military operations because they don't want to have civilians killed. What is Hamas saying? They're saying stay in that area because they want the civilians used as human shields.
Real quick, because I want to do this in real time, Israel ordered them to leave the area and then bombed the convoys while they were leaving in the evacuation zones where they were supposed to be safe outside of the city. So citizens don't really know what to believe and they're scared and don't know what to do. They're bombing UN shelters in the area, schools, hospitals, and other buildings where citizens and refugees are supposed to be safe. It's like if they're going to be pulled out of their homes and forced to leave just to die anyway, they rather die inside their homes, inside the cities where they've lived their entire life. And keep in mind, most of these people are women and children, all of them citizens, none of them Hamas, none of them part of the terrorist organization that's attacking Israel anyway. This is deliberate genocide. If you think anything else, you're absolutely delusional. Let's continue with this though and let him finish.
And I don't know what Biden's going to do, but we cannot accept people from Gaza into this country as refugees. I am not going to do that. If you look at how they behave, not all of them are Hamas, but they are all anti-Semitic. None of them believe in Israel's right to exist.
Sure, some partners in the region should step up and help, though it's not as simple to say all Arabs are the same, so just send them to an Arab country. And it's definitely not to say that we should change our position as somewhere historically that takes in refugees when needed and allows them to start a new life. That is a good thing, and it is something that America is very good at and good for doing. And when you say things like all Gazans are anti-Semitic, that is so destructive, and it's the exact rhetoric that these conflicts are being fought over right now. So to sit here and LARP like that in America is gross, and to say that about 2.3 million people is not only horrendously ignorant, but hardly acceptable and hardly the kind of message that we should look for out of someone that we're seriously considering to be the leader of this country. And it's also important to note, Arabs are Semites. It's incredibly ignorant to be calling them anti-Semitic in any sort of way. Let's let him go a little bit longer though.
And I think about our country, you see these demonstrations supporting Hamas in the United States of America. How did we get to the point where people are out there doing that? You get reports of babies being murdered, all this other stuff, and your first instinct is to go out and praise the terrorists who perpetrated that. You have students at Harvard signing letters.
He's just mimicking Trump here again, when after 9/11, Trump sickly bragged about having the tallest building in New Jersey now, while he was simultaneously saying that he had the tallest and best view to look down and see all the Muslims celebrating. Like, what he's talking about, if he's not just completely lying, which he probably is Palestinian supporters maybe, which Palestinians are not all Hamas. Quick fact check here. Almost half the Gazan population is children. The median age is like 19 years old. Only around 7% of the current population could have even theoretically been around to vote in the last election when the Hamas were elected, because that was in 2006. 1 year later, they took over militarily by force and have occupied that way ever since. And with all the killing and exodus going on in Gaza, there hasn't been an election ever since. However, to to also address the whole they voted for Hamas so they deserve it point. It doesn't matter what your government does. Collective punishment is a war crime. Even if all the children and babies in Gaza did vote for Hamas, which they didn't, it's still a war crime. These next comments that I want to end on aren't directly linked to Gaza, but it's just wild how xenophobic he really leans into to finish up this speech. He skips past the whole dog whistle part and just says it loud and clear with his chest out. Take a look.
We know people have come from Iran, China, Russia, Middle East, all these other places. Do you think, honestly, all 7 million are just here not wanting to? You don't think there's any percentage of those who want to do this? Of course there are. I mean, it's just mathematically impossible that there's not. And I've said publicly many times prior to the terrorist attacks against Israel, there will be a terrorist attack in this country that we'll be able to link to that southern border. That's just the reality.
And to really beat the point home here, this is xenophobia. We know most of the fentanyl coming across the border is from Americans, not immigrants. And we know immigrants, even undocumented ones, are way less likely to commit crimes than U.S. citizens. This rash paranoia that he wants you to have about immigrants would be 2 or 3 times more justifiable for you to have about U.S. citizens, but it wouldn't help sell his xenophobic policies. So to do so, he has to try to push this narrative that isn't true, but instead builds fear in the American people. That is how Republicans work with their unpopular and frankly xenophobic, racist, just oppressive policies that they want to push. They have to try to build these paranoia narratives that aren't even true. If you enjoyed this video, we're a social society. We're a commentary channel influenced by politics, society, and the economy. We are pretty left-leaning on this channel, but we're open to our right-wingers as well. The biggest thing here is having conversation that gets everyone to the bottom of the truth. If that sounds like something that could interest you, consider smashing that subscribe button. Why haven't y'all already? Leave us a like or even comment on this video, because the only way we become a society is together.